Okay, now to for number 36 and for 42, both of these have the same directions, and the directions read that you have to solve this system by graphing. So I have to solve this system of equations by graphing, and the way it is that you do that is that you graph this equation, then you graph this equation, you see where the two lines intersect, and then that is your solution. Now let's get on to graphing this top equation. Now this top equation says y equals negative 4x plus 4. And we should immediately see that this is easy to graph because it's already in slope-intercept form. So I can easily see that b is 4. So b is 4 means that my y-intercept is 4. So I go up to 4 along y, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you guys will have graph paper for this on the test. So I go up to 4 and I mark off 1 point. This is my first point, graphing this line. Now I look and I see that my slope is negative 4. So m equals negative 4 is the same thing as negative 4 over 1. And slope means rise over run. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down 4, that's my rise, and then I'm going to run 1. And then this is another point. And I'm going to connect these 2 points in a straight line. And I have my first line. I do the same exact procedure for my second equation. And again, the second equation is in the form y equals mx plus b. I have y equals negative 1 half x minus 3. So we should notice that this is indeed in the form y equals mx plus b. This time I have a b value of negative 3. So on the same pair of axes, on the same graph essentially, negative 2, negative 3, and I mark off this point. That's my first point. That's my b, is my y-intercept. Then I use my slope, and we should identify slope as being negative 1 half here. So m is negative 1 over 2, which is the same thing as 1 over negative 2. And it's the same thing as negative 1 over 2. Okay, these three things mean the exact same thing. Now, which one do I want to use? Well, it's up to you, really, but I can tell, or maybe I have a sneaking suspicion, one that I want to use. Well, let's see. If I go down 1, that's at negative 4, and then I run 2, it looks like I'm going to wind up at this point right here. Now this point right here, I want to be clear as to exactly what point that is. If I went from this point, and I used in the other equation, remember now I'm going back to the other equation, this equation here. This here, the slope was negative 4 over 1. So I could go down 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1. So this point right here is 2. And then that would be another point on this pink line. And you could tell that it looks like it matches up. Now let's go back to my other line. My y-intercept is negative 3, right here. And my slope is negative 1/2, which is the same thing as negative 1 over 2. So I go down 1, and then I run 2, and I wind up at this point right here. And that's exactly where these two lines meet up. This is my other line. Now, that point right there, we need to just identify exactly what point that is. Well, it's 2 along x, and then negative 4 along y. So my solution is x equals 2, and y equals negative 4. That is the solution to this system, and you can check by making sure that it makes both equations true. Negative 4 will equal negative 4 times 2 plus 4, right? When y is negative 4, instead of me writing y here, I write negative 4 should equal, and it will equal negative 4 times, instead of writing x, I write 2. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus 4 is negative 4, and negative 4 equals negative 4. So this solution works for the top equation. Then you could check the bottom equation. Negative 4 equals negative 1/2 times, instead of writing x, I write 2 minus 3. Negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. And then negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4, and it works for the bottom equation. So this is indeed my solution. Now, for this here, for 42. Now, it has the same directions. It says solve the system by graphing. And the difference between these two is that you should notice that both of these equations are not in the form y equals mx plus b. So what you want to do in this is that you want to make both of them in the form, or you want to graph both of them. And the way you do that is by first rewriting it into the form y equals mx plus b. So that's your first step. So graph both of them, see where they intersect, and then that's your solution. But the way you graph them is that you first have to get them in the form y equals mx plus b. So in this top equation, the first thing that I do is I'm going to minus 5x on both sides. Negative 4y is equal to negative 5x plus 4. And then now I divide by negative 4 on both sides. And when I divide by negative 4, I have to divide by negative 4 everywhere over here, because I'm solving it for y, right? Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. I get y equals negative 5 over negative 4 is positive, and it's the same thing as 5/4 times x. And then positive 4 times negative 4 is a negative 1. Now this is in the form y equals mx plus b. So I locate what my y-intercept is and what my slope is. My y-intercept is negative 1. Let's say that's down here. So that's going to be my starting point. My y-intercept, where it intersects the y-axis. And then my slope is 4/5. Rise over run. And I use this slope to get another point. So I can go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I went up 5. And then I can run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then run 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is another point on my line. And I'm going to connect these two lines, these 2 points in the straight line right here. Now I do the same thing for the other line. So I'm going to bring that one all the way down here. And I'm going to replicate this process. I want to change this equation into the form y equals mx plus b. I do that by solving for y. X minus 4y equals negative 12. So I want y by itself, right? So in order to get y by itself, right, I want this y by itself. First got a minus x on both sides. And when I minus x, this is 0. I get negative 4y equals. Now negative x is the same thing as negative 1x minus 12. The minus 12 is still there. Now convince yourself negative x is the same thing as negative 1x. Okay? And I want to get y by itself, so I still need to get rid of that negative 4. The operation between the y and the negative 4 is multiplication. I unmultiply by dividing. And I have to divide. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other side. So I divided by negative 4 here. I have to divide by negative 4 everywhere on the right-hand side. And I get negative 4 divided by negative 4 is 1. 1 times y is just y equals negative 1 divided by negative 4 is positive 1/4 x. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 is positive 3. I go up to 3. 3 is right here. That's my y-intercept. Now I have it in the form now. So it's in the form y equals mx plus b. And we should see that b is 3. B is my y-intercept. I start at that point up there at 3. And then I use my slope. My slope is 1/4. Slope is rise over run. So I have rise of 1 and a run of 4. So I go up 1 and then over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this is my other point. My line looks like this, and I can clearly see where it is. Sorry about that. I can clearly see where it is that these two lines intersect. They intersect at that point right there, so I'll illustrate it. So this point right here, and if you look along x, it's 4, and along y, it's 4. So my solution, x is 4, and y is 4. This is the solution to the system. And again, you can check, right? 5 times, instead of writing x, I write 4 minus 4 times y. Instead of y, I write 4 should equal 4. And this is the question mark. Does it equal 4? Let's see. 5 times 4 is 20 minus 4 times 4 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Does 4 equal 4? Yes, it does. So it solves the top equation. Does it solve the bottom equation? Well, instead of writing x, I write 4 minus 4 times 4, because instead of writing y, I write 4 equals negative 12. Let's see. 4 minus 4 times 4 is 16. Does that equal negative 12? Let's see. 4 minus 16 is indeed negative 12, and negative 12 equals negative 12. It solves the bottom equation.